Good morning. Good morning, everybody. It's me, Mitch, and here I go again. Ha! Watching Kiltsy over there. I don't think they were quite ready to finish up yet. They're still answering questions. They haven't done the drawing. I have a funny feeling they're going to go overtime today. At any rate, we can get started. I'm in no hurry if you're not. It's a brand new day. A lot of hours ahead of me. What have I forgotten? Oh, I know. I know what I've forgotten. How could I? How could I? Drink it, my friends. If you got it. All 31 of you coffee drinkers that are here so far. Hanging on Kiltsy's every word. Let's give the band the rest of the day off here today, and we'll get to it. We'll get to it. What's he doing over there? Why are you showing? He's showing the new evolution chart. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Anyway, I'll keep an eye on him for you. We'll know when he's done when the class gets here from his classroom down the hall. So, how is everybody this morning? Brian Dish says, Mitch, let's get started. Okay. All right, I'll second that. And while we wait for some more people to get here, let me acknowledge a new member of the private community, John Maddock. Welcome, and good morning to you. Last evening, about 7 o'clock, first one in to our chat was Nikki. Hi, Nikki, and Peter chimed in. Lady June, Patty's Garden, checking in. See you in the morning. Chris Wayne down in Australia says hopefully he'll stay awake. And Brian Dish was in here at 5:08 this morning, and then I followed shortly thereafter by me live. I don't know about Sunny. It's still dark here, but hopefully it'll lighten up pretty soon. And I see that Kiltsy is now done. Now done. I think he's done. Yes. Okay. So we can close that. And now let's drink another sip to the people that are just getting here. Okay. Where was I? Wayne Herman, how you doing this morning? Mike Seeley Sr. from right here in Melbourne, and Loretta. Hi, Loretta. Good morning from Maryland. where the Susquehanna meets the Chesapeake. And if you can say that first thing in the morning, you too are awake. Cliff Medina. Hi, Cliff. How are you? Good to see you this morning. Mike Sealy Jr. and Jeffs. Hello, everyone from Saginaw, Michigan. Hi, Jeffs. How you doing? Laurie Weissel's here. Robbie Audrey. Hi, Robbie. How are you? 6:59. A little early, but the morning horse race was certainly on, and the winner this morning, Lambs. The two of those guys go at it every day within milliseconds. So we have a winner for today. It's Lambs, and Robbie, see you tomorrow. Jeff Streslak chimed in. Johnny Drone Flyer. My buddy Johnny Drone Flyer. I always like to see the drone guys pop in once in a while. Good to see you. Marla Kelly at 7 o'clock. Lori Weitzel, Larry Ryan again, and Jeff's again. Michael Pregler. Hi, I'm Michael. Brian Dish again. And Steve Rogers, superhero in the house. Captain America's here. Lady June. Anthony here. And Linda McDonald, how you doing? Brian Dish has a question already. Mitch, when you buy meat and it has 80-20 on it, it is only 20% fat, correct? Yes. Yes, 20% fat, 80% lean. But the calories by weight, well, I still get confused with that 80-20 nonsense. You want to be eating your 80% of your calories, and you bring in calories, and calories is always so confusing. They bring in calories, and if you're wondering what percentage of your calories every day come from fat, you have to use calories, which are a meaningless, basically, number. Supposedly, it's a measure of energy, but you can't eat energy. You can only eat stuff. You have to eat stuff that has weight. 1 billion calories weighs nothing if you put it on a scale. How much does fire weigh, for example? How much weight do the flames add to the actual weight of the whole fire? So we all get confused between percentages by weight and percentages by calories. Now we further confuse it by saying, well, fat has 9 calories per gram of weight, where protein only has 4 grams. That means that for every gram of fat, it has more than 2 times as many calories as the gram of lean. So when they say 80% lean, 20% fat, they're basically saying 80% of the weight of the hamburger, because they can't measure the calories on a scale. When they try to decide how to put 20% fat in burger, they have to weigh it. So even though it's 80-20 ground beef, considering that the fat has, quote, twice the calories, you'd probably be closer to 50-50 if you want to know how many calories are coming from fat and how many calories are coming from lean. It's a stupid system. When you get it up to about 70-30, now you're getting close to the 70% fat by calories and 30% of your calories from protein, which is So 70-30 hamburger from the grocery store means 70% of it is lean, but when you figure it in calories, it's just about the opposite. Does that make any sense to anybody? And it just does nothing but confuse the hell out of us, because we're told, well, you want to get 70 to 80% of your calories from fat. So you got to start getting out the calculator. You got to start calculating 9-to-4 ratio, everything into 9-to-4, 9 calories per gram of fat, 4 calories per gram of protein. And that's assuming you're managing to leave all the carbohydrates out of it, which don't have nearly as many calories per gram as fat. It's crazy. It's crazy. Interestingly enough, an egg by weight has about 50-50. By weight, not by calories. So when you eat an egg, you're really getting 80+ % of your calories from fat. That's why eggs are so healthy, and a good source of adequate fat. Same thing with bacon or any really fatty cut of meat. Is you're going to make it much easier to get up to that 70 to 80% of your calories from fat. I think we ought to do away with calories, but how can we? The entire set of propaganda about diet, weight loss, and everything else is built around calories in, calories out. Some misnomers and some foolish ideas are just too firmly implanted in our psyche, our culture, our ideology, and everything else. And even though most of them make no sense in a real world, it's too late to do away with it. It's how we think. It's our operating system at this point. So it's a great question. Great question. The answer is just to know what to do. You want the ground beef with the best fat content, shoot for something that has at least 25 or 30% fat in it. And then don't render it all out when you cook it. And all that fat that you want to eat is liquid at the bottom of your sink or your frying pan. So eat your meat a little more raw. Eat your meat a little more raw. And that's not to say that in what we call lean ground beef there, you're always going to have some fat. You got to have fat mixed up in it. So, Brian, I hope I answered that for you right off the bat. Main Runner, how you doing? Good morning. Good morning to Mitch and all fun-loving carnivores. I trust that we can all look forward to a happy and healthy Tuesday. I'll second that. Gilreem is here, and Don Shager is here, and Peter checked in. We are at 7 o'clock still. No, 7:05. Wow, we're really getting into it. So that's not too bad. We got through that. If you have questions for me today, put QQQ in the chat and see if I can't get to it. I'm looking at a current chat. Peter was last year at 7:06, so I'm assuming Peter is still here, and I see that's very unusual. I'm looking at the chat here, and I don't see any private community members because they show up in green, and the last one of them I saw was Josephine C. Wow, and Mark C. is here. So let me say hi to the private community members. Steve Rogers. Very few of them got out of bed this morning. Where are you guys? Martha Kelly. Mike Seeley Jr. Sr. Cliff Medina. Loretta. So a special welcome to you guys. And my newest one, John Maddock. But that's very unusual for me to glance over. Here you go. Here you go. Jerry Voitish is here. Good morning from Ponte Vedra Beach. And Louis Latino member also. Harry Dion. Good. I would get to wonder what happened if maybe you all had defected somewhere else. Don't do that. And Jeff says I wouldn't survive without morning coffee. Well, you got to keep the controversy going there, Jeff. You have to give them something to say. I'm wearing my I don't drink coffee ribbon, and I'm better than you. You know, he used to do routines about the ribbons. And I used to love that. It was Rush Limbaugh. He used to always rag on people that wore wristbands or ribbons for some cause or other. And I've always thought the more ribbons somebody has on them, the further they live from actual reality. So I make jokes about the ribbons. You get your good for you, little Johnny. Here's your I don't drink coffee, and you do ribbon. I eat healthier than you. I don't eat plants. I understand that they're accomplishments and badges of honor sometimes, but it's a personal choice. Doesn't mean anybody's any better than anybody else. Maybe a little more enlightened. Maybe completely wrong. There's always that shadow of a doubt, which is why I wear this shirt. It says, I may be wrong, but I doubt it. But I never completely discount the fact that I could be dead wrong about certain things. When in reality, as far as this diet stuff goes, nutritional science, by and large, is a joke. Not only don't we have many really definitive studies that aren't propaganda, like blue zones, but it's impossible, it would be impossible to even construct a study that could be done in a reasonable length of time without any confounding variables. With honesty and no agendas, with no funding from company with an interest in the outcome of those things. We can't do it, so we just don't have it. And then we have the slight differences in most human beings today because of their evolutionary pathway and what their ancestors actually adapted to. With all of these things, you just can't come out and say, red meat is bad for you. You can't even say plants are bad for you because there's a lot of people. You can talk about the chemistry. It's easier to do studies with plants. I could tell you one study that you could do geared to find out once and for all, should you not, say, roll around naked in poison ivy. Well, you could do a study like that. It would be pretty obvious. You take 100 people, get them naked, take 50 of them, let them roll in the poison ivy, take 50 of them and let them roll on something else, like just plain grass, and keep an eye on them for a few days. If 50 people are all scratching the hell out of themselves and full of red blotches, and 50 people aren't, you got yourself a study. You got yourself a study. And you can definitively say, randomized controlled trial, it could even be double blind. You could put a blindfold on people so they don't know what they're rolling in. And the people who lead them into the room have a blindfold on. So it's double blind. Not even the administrator knows whether they're rolling in grass or poison ivy. And the results would be evident and conclusive. And you don't have to wait a lifetime to see the results. That's how a study that might mean something would be done. And we would all know for sure, stay the hell out of the poison ivy. But to say that diabetes is caused by a slow poisoning over decades, it would be impossible to construct a study like that and separate people into groups and keep them separated for and under control for 20 or 30 years. Well, you could make a definitive conclusion. So we're stuck with these studies. These studies are nothing more than marketing materials. They are corrupt from the very beginning, most of them, because they are paid for by people who want to set out and prove that their product is something you should buy. Right off the bat, that's not science. That's a focus group. So we're stuck with that. And the point I'm trying to make is that even as cocksure as we are about these things, we really don't have anything more than what they call anecdotal evidence these days. You take a big enough group of people, you get them to stop eating plants, and then you see that most of the people that were diabetic are not anymore. That's not a scientific study. You can't publish that. That doesn't meet the criteria of science. How do you know it wasn't something else that fixed their diabetes, other than the fact that they stopped eating the plants and the sugar? So you can't publish it. And if you can't publish it, you can't brag about it. And you can't use it as a reference to prove your point. It's anecdotal evidence. Now, I think anecdotal evidence sometimes is very compelling if you get enough of a cohort involved in the observation. Because then the only thing that the propagandists can use to say, well, yeah, but is don't believe your lying eyes. Don't believe your own eyes. Believe me instead. Just because 10,000 people have reversed their diabetes on a carnivore diet is not proof enough for me, because it's not a published study. Yeah, but there's 10,000 people in our community that aren't diabetic anymore. Well, how do you know that for sure? Could they be lying? Are you just taking their word for it? Yeah, but they've lost 100 pounds each. Well, you could have cancer and lose 100. There's always somebody that's going to give you a yeah, but, and you end up playing whack-a-mole. And it generates nothing that can be construed as a final conclusion that A absolutely causes B. That's where we are. So keep an open mind, but keep your eyes open. Look at your own life. Be your own study, which is what I do. And I don't care what anybody else says. That they can't take away from me. They can't at me out of the fact that I don't weigh 200 pounds anymore. I weigh 137 pounds. That I don't have rheumatoid arthritis pain anymore that I used to. That I don't have kidney stones anymore that I used to. I don't have eczema anymore that I used to. I don't have my cravings anymore that I used to. I'm not hungry anymore. I have energy. Except for this pesky little stroke, I'm doing really well. And I don't think that was caused by diet in any way, shape, or form. I blame that on the medical community. And so far, nobody's been able to change my mind. And speaking of the medical community, while I'm going here, talking about how we really know anything for sure, which I don't know if we do. I got an email from our grandma, Nancy, and she writes, I am so bloody furious. Now, this is a title. This is the title of that was our email. This is the title of a YouTube video. It says, I am so bloody furious. New blood pressure guidelines are crazy. Have you heard this yet? You know, they keep changing the bar for everything. I see people are talking about questions. All right, I'm going to take a look at them pretty soon. But let me just mention this. This was my monologue for the day, let's say. They keep changing the bar. They keep changing their definition of normal. And there's always an agenda behind that. And you got to watch out for this. The biggest one that they do this on is your so-called cholesterol or your LDL. They publicize that number. You want your LDL to be below 100. If it's not, you need to take this medicine. You need to be on a statin. It's not going to fix anything, really, because if you stop taking it, your LDL is going to go back up and you're going to die a horrible death. So we're not curing it, we are treating it. And you're going to have to take this for the rest of your life. Now, while you're taking these statins, there's a chance that they may damage your liver. So you got to come in every few months and get a liver function blood test. And then, of course, the doctor's going to want to see you to make sure you're still living and you still have health insurance. Because breathing and health insurance is the medical community's definition of pristine health. When they tell you you're healthy, they mean you're breathing and you can still pay your bills. Other than that, what use have they got for you? And if there are no bills, you're not useful to them anymore. So we need to keep you coming. So we think if we got 30, 40, 50% of the American people now on statins, we maybe grab another 20% of them by basically lowering our recommendation from 100 to, say, 80. So all of a sudden now, the American Heart Association, one of the most corrupt and crooked, stupid, right up there with the UN. Like, I think the World Health Organization and the UN are just in the same group of thieving whores that the American Heart Association is, with their advice, followed closely by the American Cancer Society and the American Diabetes Association. But don't let me slander these people. They do a good enough job on their own. They lower the numbers, and they can increase the percentage of people that are now in their system, and according to them, are healthy because they're breathing and they can pay their bills and pretty well have a ride to get their blood tests and all that and their doctor's appointments to make sure that the deadly advice that you're giving them, doc, hasn't killed them yet. So the practice of medicine has certainly, and I don't think I'm the only one that thinks this, hasn't become the practice of curing or healing. It has become the practice of keeping you alive so that you can keep participating in the game without regard for your actual health and suffering and pain and inconvenience. Prove me wrong. Somebody, please. Prove me wrong. Now, like all other generalizations, you can't lump all doctors into that category. There are still some that remember why the hell they went to medical school. Remember the words of the oath that they took, where the most important sentence in it is, do no harm. And that's where I come in with my experiences with doctors. Every time I look at them, they do me some harm or other. And I can document that. Whether I can get paid for it in a court is another story. But I can certainly document the carelessness. I choose not to sue. It's not worth it. They got more money than me. They can afford more expensive lawyers that could run me around for years. It's a terrible system, and one where we have to look out for ourselves, unfortunately, but we're learning how to do that. We're learning how to knock these people down a peg, give them some respect if they look like they're conducting their business and their lives in a manner that deserves respect. It's not up to you. That's where we got it all wrong. We got it all wrong. It's not up to us individually to decide if we deserve respect or not. That's not our call. Ask anybody, do you deserve respect? What do you think they're going to say? No? It's not your call. You want to know if you deserve respect? Ask me. Ask me. I'll tell you if I think you deserve respect, because that's something might be more meaningful and closer to the truth, especially if I'm using actual facts and personal experiences of dealings with you to make that decision. So we should get off our high horses and stop demanding respect. You hear it everywhere. I hear it every day. I hear the Lexus dealer in town here. Get the luxury and you deserve. You don't deserve shit. It's other people have to decide what you deserve, because you're not in a position, because you think you deserve everything and entitled to everything. Princess and prince. There. That's as close to a rant as you're going to get today. Got to start injecting more happiness and light. I should be, I watch Kelsey and I get a ton of that. And I don't know, maybe I figure, well, I had enough happiness and light for today. Time to tell it like it is. No, that... obviously, the Mitch hour is much different than the Kilts hour. And it's the same people, so he must have... It maybe adds a nice balance. Nice balance. What is this? This is Josie Z. Oh my God, missed the start again. Do we have to refresh the page? Everyone need to do it. Hi, Josephine. Let me look for some questions. Yeah, I've got through half of it already and haven't really answered. Well, I did answer one question earlier. Questions. Peter says, Donna, good idea. Peter, have you seen any questions for me? Peter's talking about his superhero thing. Jeff is a question. Question says Michael Pregler. I don't know. I'm going to look for him. I'm going to look for him. Anybody seen? No, I haven't seen Rick yet this morning. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday morning. Tuesday, the day the world forgot. You got through Monday. Now it's Tuesday. It's not Wednesday yet. That's halfway to the weekend. So basically a Tuesday attitude is, let's just get the hell through it. Be careful not to hurt ourselves. Get to hump day where we can start to look forward to the weekend. Whereas it is Tuesday, it is just as good a day and as important a day as any other day. It is a day that you, my friends, have the same opportunity to have fun, be positive, be happy. Stop always waiting for something else that you think is going to be better. Seize the day. Maybe we should come up with a Latin expression. You know, carpe diem means seize the day. Maybe we should say carpe Tuesday. Carpe Tuesday, folks. And that doesn't mean a trip to the fish market. That means seize the day. Get the most out of it that you can. I intend to. Of course, for me, I carpe every day because they're all the same. They're all the same. But I'm old. I'm supposed to be retired by now. I have people say, "Are you retired?" I say, "No, I'm still working on tired. I'll let you know when I get retired." So evidently Jeff's asked me a question because Loretta says, "Hope Mitch sees your question, Jeff's." All right, that's a clue. Let me scroll back, Jeff's. Is this a question? Put QQQ in front of it if it's a question, then I'll see it. Jeff's, you're new here, I think. So if you put QQQ in front of your question, capital Q's, it'll pop out. I won't miss it. I won't have to go hunting for it. But fortunately, we are a great and caring community of people that care about you too and wanted to make sure that I answered your question. So that's great. I found the question. And the question is, I'm sporting a pacemaker. I hear nothing about carnivore and pacemakers. Any thoughts, Mitch? Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts. I'm not a doctor. I certainly can't give you an educated, a medically educated, cardiologist trained, realist and honest doctor's opinion of what risks eating 100% nutritious food with the proper balance of electrolytes, all the nutrients and vitamins your body needs to function at an optimal level. While I can't imagine that there might be even the first inkling of a reason why you can't be carnivore. In fact, exactly the opposite, why there might not be a myriad of fabulous reasons why you will do better with carnivore. And if there was ever a chance that your heart might heal and you might not need the pacemaker anymore, I think carnivore would be a shot. But I can't tell you that. I can't tell you that. Because I don't know you. I don't know your exact situation. You're not my patient. I don't know your medical history. Your doctor probably doesn't even know you well enough to give you a real answer to that question. Probably hasn't done enough tests. Hasn't spent enough time monitoring your function. Hasn't really tried to find out why the hell you need the pacemaker in the first place. But I certainly, a non-doctor carnivore YouTuber who says eat meat, can't tell you that. But I can tell you that with what I know, this is as good as it gets from me. With what I know about the dangers of carnivore on the circulatory system, especially the electrical end of it, which is what a pacemaker deals with, I can't see a reason why carnivore would be a no-no for you. So I hope that answers your question with about the best non-answer I can give. Because if it turns out there is something so obscure wrong with you, and that you might be one out of 50 million people that carnivore is bad for your pacemaker, I don't want to be the guy that gave you that advice and you hire a team of lawyers to come after, or hitmen, even worse. I think I was cautious enough in answering that question. I had doctors do the same thing to me. You got to give up carnivore because that caused your stroke. No, doc. No, doc. You caused my stroke with your botched up surgery on my head. Not carnivore. Carnivore will help me recover from my stroke. I'm not going to go back to eating the shit American diet because you don't know what the hell you're talking about. That's the problem that we have. We have one-trick ponies in the medical community. Okay, saw Jeff's question. Michael Pregler said Jeff's question. Okay, good. I did it. I found it. I found the question. It seems like Jeff's the only one that has any doubt about anything today. Great. I hope that was at least a little meaningful to you. Jeff's really participating today. Gotcha, he says. 7:37 p.m. Yes. Remember the cues, man. Remember the cues. Makes it easier on me. Yeah, Gilream, I was talking about that. It was this, got off the subject, but we can pick that up again. They lowered the blood pressure. Now 120 to 29 is now considered elevated. You got a blood pressure of 125/70, and they want to put you on BP meds now. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I can't even comment. It is. I'm like the doctor who made the YouTube video. In fact, I'm going to put the link to that YouTube video in the chat. Oh, I would if my copy and paste worked. Let's see. Copy and paste. There it is. All right. Copy and paste that out of the chat. And watch it if you think. I mean, it's infuriating. It's infuriating. This is how they play the game. And every year, they grab another 10, 15% of the healthy population, suck them into the system where they need to manage manage their health care. I'll tell you what to manage, my friends. Manage your trip to the supermarket is what you need to manage. Stay the hell out of my health and my metabolism and everything else. I don't want to adopt another relative that I have to see once a month and follow the advice of. That's killing me. But it might extend my life a little bit. Although, how's that working out for you, medical community? How come? How come? In the face of all of this that you do for us, we keep suffering more, being more inconvenienced by fighting and competing for whatever medical resources there are, whether it be pharmacies, labs, doctor's visits, hospitals, emergency rooms. We spend more of our life waiting and suffering for your highnesses to pay attention to us so you can take our money. And you want us to be grateful and thank you for it as well. Every day I do this. I have to fight. I have to fight a guilty feeling. Because my friend Kelsey, you never hear him get upset at anything. I've never heard him even express disgust. And that's such an enviable attitude and motivational and feel good. And then it's like the feeling you get when you go to church. I wouldn't know, I don't go to church, but I remember going to synagogue when I was a kid, seeing all these happy people come out. Everything's right with the world. And then the only problem is before you get down, even to the bottom of the steps in front of the church, a drunk driver comes up on the steps and runs over your child. That's a metaphor for saying the real world hits you, slaps you upside the face if you get too carried away and too happy. That's reality, and that's where I live. And I just can't ignore that because we're all, I don't care how good you are, how happy you are suffering at the hands of these sociopaths. And it's got to be at least pointed out. And even better, somebody's got to try to stop it. Now, Kelsey's trying to stop it by fixing things so we don't need any of this. But the VA tries to do that too. It's a noble cause to manage your own health care. You can't. You can try. Only you can try to do for yourself is avoid unnecessary health care. They use the words that make it sound so lofty and good. Health care. We care about you. Bullshit. They don't know you. The last thing they do is care about you. So I point that stuff out. the pitfalls, where the potholes are. You can have a happy drive as long as you know where the potholes are so you don't fall into them. And I think it's a good balance. So I'm happy with the role I play as pragmatist, and I'm happy with Kelsey as cheerleader. And I think you need balance, and I think you need both, because we do need to be motivated, we need to be happy, but we also need to open our eyes and not run around with the blindfolds on. So when we point out this stuff, and it's pointed out to me, I can't just gloss over it and throw a rosy blanket on top and tell you how good it is when I see a grab for another 15 or 20% of human beings to get them on medicine they don't need, that'll probably be harmful to them, because anybody that's ever taken these BP meds, any of them, losartan, lisinopril, the beta blockers, any of them, know that the side effects from these things are horrendous and deadly. And if your blood pressure is 120 something over 70 something, putting you on BP meds is a crime against humanity. And all I can do is play Paul Revere again. Get on my horse, grab the bell, ride through the communities, yelling the British are coming. So I'm going to continue to do that. I'm going to continue to be the Paul Revere. And I'll let all the other people be the motivators. I'll try to come up with a solution to what I think are the real problems. Maybe it's entertaining, maybe it's not entertaining, but I do struggle with that. I do struggle with that. It's not going too much to the dark side. I released that video yesterday, where a reality check, I called it. I must have done something right. Not that any of my videos are screaming out of the gate or doing that well, but that was the last 10 videos I did release. That one yesterday was the most popular. So there are people out there who still don't mind sitting still for 15 minutes listening to common sense and logical thinking and reality, and somebody who isn't just pumping air up their skirt. Because in that video yesterday, although I kept saying, you did this, or you failed, or you at this point in your life have to be honest with yourself, and you have to look back and say, have I ever really succeeded on any diet long term? The answer is obviously, of course not, or you wouldn't be here watching my videos. But what you don't seem to realize is I'm not scolding. I'm not finding fault with you, because I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about me. I'm talking about me in those kinds of videos. I'm talking about my failures, my self-delusions, my addictions, my helplessness, not yours. Because I feel that if it can happen to me, it can happen to you. But sometimes we get tired of hearing somebody else's story, because we can sit there smugly and say, oh, poor bastard, glad I'm not like that. When you're exactly like that. If you wake up, open your eyes, accept a little responsibility for your own actions, like I did, and that's what that video was about. It wasn't about you, but I projected it onto you, knowing that it's real, that what I say happens, And as long as you would identify with it subconsciously and accept it, maybe this whole fart's got a point. That's a little psychology. Sorry that I used it on you. But I was talking about me, my self-delusion, my self-aggrandizement, my bad habits, my inability to do anything to combat my addiction. It's how I finally came to terms with the fact that we don't have the power, the willpower. There's no such thing. Nature gets what it wants. Instincts and emotion rule. Common sense and logic are turned off when a biological need is present, and you can't fight it. You can't fight it. Call it what you want. We call it sometimes temporary insanity. Have you heard that one? That's a legal defense in a court of law for a criminal indictment. Temporary insanity. My friends, there isn't one of us that at least once a day does not have what would be a legally acceptable defense for some of our actions under the category of temporary insanity. Temporary insanity, I mean, you got to think about these things. It's funny. Temporary insanity is that thing that happened to the caveman that prompted him to grab that stick and go out and risk his life to chase a big mastodon. That's temporary insanity. Happens to all of us all the time. A survival need of some sort has become imperative, and they're not going to let our stupid conscious mind get in the way. Peter says, Glenn wants to know if you're still using your vibration. Yes, I am. I do it once or twice a week. I don't really know. I don't have lipedema, lymphedema, so many of the other things. I have pretty good strength in my leg muscles. The jury's still out about whether or not that really is something that's that beneficial to me. But I do it once or twice a week for maybe 5 minutes. I don't spend a lot of time on it. But no, it's not something that I think I was seeing any miraculous benefits from, because I don't have the problems that most people who buy those vibration plates have. And then one thing that I worry about more might be the downside. The downside of that vibration on my brain. Because when you turn that thing up and you get on it, you can definitely, and you think about shaken baby syndrome and all that. And I say to myself, I had a stroke. My brain is healing. Do I want to really put it in a blender right now? And it's kind of given, even though I didn't read a warning label says, if you don't want to put your brain in a blender, don't get on this thing. I have not discounted the possibility that maybe this is something I shouldn't be doing. And maybe that scared me away from it a little bit. But so far I'm doing pretty good. Tommy Vitar says, wow, 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 Mitch. Wow, 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 what? What did I do? Jeff says, that explains my morning coffee addiction. Well, this is kind of I saw Kilt's attendance was 30 or 40 people shy of what he normally had. Mine is also this morning down maybe 15, 20 people. I think maybe it's Tuesday. Just Tuesday. Carpe Tuesday, everybody. Drinking if you got it. I still have a little. And it's 8 o'clock. Tammy, thank you. Tammy says to Gilry that I'm the best. I don't know about that. I try hard. Sometimes I wish I still had my old hobby. I used to build, I used to love model aviation. A great hobby is so therapeutic, especially if you have a life with more than your fair share of turmoil. A great hobby. And in order for something to actually qualify, it's a hobby that has therapeutic value. It has to be able to distract you almost 100% from all of the cares and worries and things that cause stress in your life. And very few hobbies are engaging enough that I found. Maybe golf is. I don't know. I found golf boring. I find sports boring. I find sports spectating boring. I find most things that the average human being finds entertaining, ludicrous, and boring. I must have inherited it from my mother, but love working with my hands, and hopefully my right hand will improve enough where I can have the level of craftsmanship that I used to have. But right now I can't. So I can't do what I used to do. And my hobby was model aviation, and I built and flew these incredible model turbine-powered jet airplanes that were so real, so real. Let's see if I got a picture of one of them here somewhere I can show you. Here. This I built this. I built this. It took me a year. It's an exact scale model of a Vietnam era camouflage painted F-100 jet fighter. Every rivet is exactly where the railroads were. It's weathered. The back end simulated all the discoloration at the from the hot jet engine. It had all the bombs and all the placards for all the bombs. And I competed in international competition with this airplane. It flew 250 miles an hour with a real jet engine and radio control. And I took 5th place at this particular event. It's called Top Gun in Lakeland, Florida. That airplane, you can't even begin to imagine how much money it cost and how much time and effort it took to build. But what it did do for me, it made me forget everything. And I lost myself in the detail and the construction and the pride that I felt in being able to create something that looks like this. And one of these days, I'll bring a video and show it to you on my morning live stream of me actually flying through the maneuvers with this jet at that particular competition. When I say hobby, that's what I'm talking about. A hobby is something that you lose yourself in. And I don't have that now. I can't afford it, number one. But I don't have that now. So I don't have that kind of distraction. And that kind of distraction is the healthiest thing in the world. It's a vacation from life. And I used to go out And I had a big workshop in my garage. Lived in a big house. Had an incredible workshop. I had a paint booth. I had tool. I mean, I was set up for this hobby. And my wife wasn't very happy with me, but c'est la vie, you know. You gotta recuperate, gotta heal somewhere. And it certainly wasn't with her. That exacerbated the problem. So I would be escaping from life and her nonsense and her bipolar, paranoid, schizophrenic self, and escape to my garage where I would stay for the rest of the day usually, playing with my toys and building my model airplanes. And that is what helped me regain what small amount of sanity I had left trying to deal with the pressures of this world and the businesses that I ran. We need that distraction. It's very important. I don't know why did I even get started on this? I don't know. My morning shows are just a meandering stroll through various subjects and triggers that bring up things that I think are important. And I think maybe I was going to make the point that the closest thing I have to that hobby today, or something that distracts me from the political scene, the strife, is the YouTube things that I do. The technology involved, things like that, what I find joy in. We all need something like that. If you don't have something like that, try to find it. It's not an easy thing to find. But if you do find something like that, if you like fly fishing, for example, and you can get lost in tying a fly and going out, standing there alone with your thoughts out in nature, throwing a string with a hook in the water over and over and over and over and over. Unlike me, and you don't find that boring as hell, go for it. Go for it. Go for it. How did I get started there? I have no idea. I've already gone overtime today, so. Oh, Rick is here. And of course, Rick, sweetness and light as he is, poo-poos positive thinking. There's a woman at the vibration plate. I guess I'm benefiting a little, but I found that when I stand on it, maybe it was the vibration plate. I don't know how I got down that road with the hobby shit, but I bend my knees. I find that at least if I bend my knees, the active shock absorbers and my head stops shaking so much, and I worry less about shaken baby syndrome, if you know what I mean. Peter says, Mitch, this is a different Peter. Peter, you have competition. Another Peter. Mitch, what a great recovery you are. Talking fast, looking good. Thank you, my friends. I still feel like I'm slurring my speech. It's not too bad. It seems to have leveled off right about here. And, you know, that's the thing about a stroke. You have a stroke, your life changes. You have any kind of an accident. How many people have you known that have had a car accident 50 years ago that has basically affected the rest of their life? Whether they're living in pain, whether they have an infirmity, a handicap now. That happens in life. You have a choice. Pick up the pieces and move on. Rebuild the best you can. Try to find something to do with your newfound set of circumstances. And that's what I'm doing. Am I doing the best I can? I think so. A lot of factors. How hard do I really want to work at my age? Rebuilding a future. How much future do any of us really have once you're almost 80 years old? The scariest thing to me is that I may have another 20 or 30 years of this. That's scary. Because I guarantee you, I'm not going to get younger over that period of time. I'm only going to get older and more susceptible to things breaking down. Maybe this life extension to a ridiculous extreme isn't such a great idea. Jeff. Hiya, Jeff. Jeff Johnson, the name you know. The name you know. You know what I didn't do today? And consider today is Tuesday. And you if you're still here with me, you'll indulge me. I'm going to put my little QR code for my Buy Me a Coffee. Today's the closeout for the week. Today's the last day for they pay me every week, which is why I like it better than Google, where I have to, or Amazon, where I wait 90 days to get paid for anything that I earn. Buy Me a Coffee settles every week. They settle on Wednesday. So any coffees that people buy me, I will get paid this Friday. So in my true and honest transparency, I tell you the reality of it. So, you know, if you want to throw me a coffee to get in under the wire this week, I will cheer for you. Thank you. Thank you so much. And if not, that's okay too. That's okay too. So many of you have bought me coffees. You don't have to do it every day. You don't have to do it at all. But thank you. Thank you, everybody, my friends. Now, where was I? I was Jeff Johnson. Nature gets what it wants. Boy, does it ever. You're right, Mitch. We are creatures of habit unless we are conscious and in the moment all the time. That's true. That's true. Nature gets what it wants. And the human subconscious has its hand on the switch. That's a reality that I finally learned after thinking I actually had my hand on that switch. I was in control of my life. It finally dawned on me that I'm underneath it all, still an animal with call it a reptile brain or something, that is so competent and powerful to control this living machinery that is my body. How could I have been so egotistical to think that this little new kid on the block called consciousness actually had any say-so in the maintenance of this human machine that I am? And I said, it was folly to think that way. Absolute folly. Doesn't work that way. As we humans begin to control more and more powerful machines, destructive machines, as we invent more and more killer robots and program them with what we think is intelligence, but it's not. It's basically somebody else's agenda, whether evil or good, program, and turn that power over to these machines against whom we have no defense whatsoever. We'll find out real quick just how smart we were. When that robot dog with a machine gun is chasing your ass down the street, you remember my words and my warning. So we're stupid, arrogant, egotistical, species of animal that, in my opinion, will never survive. Nature's test. Because are we the fittest to rule this planet? My opinion. That's all I got is opinions. CB is here. Hi, CB. How you doing? Question, Mitch. What scale was your biggest? You're talking about airplanes, Brian. Scale. Well, it depends on the airplane itself. You talk about a quarter scale, a fifth scale, 10th scale. Depends on what size airplane. If you're talking about a 747 and you build a quarter scale 747, it's going to be huge. So I was not really governed by the scale itself as the practical size of an airplane and the weight. Had to be under 55 pounds in order for it to be legally flown, because anything over 55 pounds was considered to be almost too dangerous for somebody to be flying over somebody else. There's a 250 mile an hour speed limit on these turbine jets. That particular jet I showed you the picture of was had a 7 foot. It was 7 foot long. 7 foot long. Without getting into model airplanes, these days they're making model jetliners that have 30-foot wingspans and are huge, and have to almost be built as an experimental aircraft with the government inspecting them because they're just too big and heavy to be legally flown. In Europe, they don't have the restrictions we do here. You all know who Tyler Perry is. Tyler Perry. Medea, you know who I'm talking about. He lives up in Atlanta, Georgia, on an estate that he built that has its own hangar and runway dedicated to nothing but RC model airplanes. And he and a fellow YouTuber named Ramy, R-A-M-Y, Ramy RC, are building the biggest, most advanced model airliners you've ever seen in your life. He has a YouTube channel. Look up R-A-M-Y RC. And this guy's now working for Tyler Perry. He's a European. He's living here pretty much full time, working for Tyler Perry in this fabulous shop that they have, fabricating, one of a kind, huge military and civilian airliners and bombers. It's incredible the stuff that they're doing. And very interesting if you're a hobbyist. R-A-M-Y RC. I would love to see that video of you flying that jet. I got it. I will show it to you. I will show it to you. Jeff, be happy to do it. I heard my phone go ding. I know it was a... Yes. Yes. I got a coffee. See? Oh, wow, wow. And Jeff Johnson. Bought me 3 coffees. Hey, Mitch, Jeff Johnson here. Great talk this morning. I always gain a knowledge nugget. Ah, thank you, Jeff. Very kind of you. And Peter is VOOIJS. Vuij. How do you pronounce that, Peter? Well, anyway, Peter bought me 5 coffees this morning. Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you so much. Very nice of you. Boy, that little QR code thing is okay. What happened to it? It disappeared. Well, that's stupid. I put it up there and it went away. You think your universe is trying to tell me something, or did I perhaps hit the wrong button? Probably hit the wrong button. There it is. I'm going to leave it up there for the duration. Probably continue to go down the chat. I'm having a good time today. We're touching on some strange subjects. If you like airplanes, I see if I got I got another picture I can show you here of. I have no shortage of airplane pictures. I have model airplane pictures. Oh, yeah. Here's a walk down memory lane. This is a picture of me. Look at me. Look at this. Look at that. Can you believe that? Wow, 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 wow. That must be 40. 35. I had to be in my 30s there. And I was flying jet. This is one of the first turbine-powered jet airplanes that I built for competition. That's a MiG-15. And that has a jet engine in it, too. Oh, wow. I'll have to bring out the old pictures someday. And you can see, still had the skinny legs. I was looking pretty svelte at the time. On one of my attempts to be healthy, I was probably low carb then, on one of the earlier low carb diets. Not keto. Keto hadn't been a thing yet. Not paleo, I don't think, at that point, but probably an Atkins style diet, and probably at one of my lower points of my weight, down around 150, 55, instead of up at the 200, 210. And I yo-yoed, I would have to estimate at least 15 times in my lifetime, learning that I had no control whatsoever, and finally convincing myself. Finally convincing myself that I wasn't as in control as I maybe I thought I was. So, thank you for the coffees, guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Where was I? Here. Okay. Back to the comments. I'm going to try to get through this. Holy cow. I am at, I'm not too far behind. Aaron, what did I miss? Catching up in two sentences. The usual. Rantings, wanderings, rabbit holes. That about sums it up. Michael Pergo, you're going camping. And Rick is here. Lori Weitzel. YouTube is definitely a distraction in terms of watching, making, editing videos is a good hobby to get back in. Yeah, Laurie, it is for me. I have a passion. See, YouTube is kind of a combination hobby for me. When I was a drone YouTuber, man, I had it all. I had everything for me. Building drones, flying drones, photography, aerial photography, cinematography, editing. I loved all that. It was great, but unfortunately, the drones became very not politically correct thing to do. Too much anti-drone nonsense. It sounds absurd, but it's like anything else. No matter what you do, you're going to make somebody mad at you. In this world, I don't care what it is. Nobody's going to want to protest you, march up and down in front of you with a sign, and tell you how much more superior they are than you are. Just look at my ribbons, for God's sakes. And that's the way of the world. And it happens to us in the carnivore community. God, how many people would kill us if they had the opportunity? How many of the idiot vegan activists, vegan activists. You know, the definition of activist is a attempt to put a spin on the word troublemaker. That's what an activist is. Troublemaker. idiot in most cases, these activists. You don't see carnivore activists, do you? Do you? Maybe I'm missing something. Do you see carnivore activists organizing protest marches outside of some soybean field somewhere in Iowa, plotting ways to destroy the farmer's crop, to send a message to all those evil monocroppers that you're taking pasture land away from the cows? That's what an activist would do. No. Anytime I see an activist, I assume there's somebody that's lost his mind, and nutrition, or lack thereof, usually provides a very believable explanation of why these people have gone so far off the deep end. Wow, someone, I don't even know who, bought me 5 coffees. Thanks for the time, they said. Whoever you are. In anonymity. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Again, my father was the smartest man on the planet. I become firmly, he died in 1990. He died 35 years ago. In his 90s. I'm permanently convinced the man was a genius. He was a laid-back, type B, unassuming, didn't have an enemy in the world, played golf, that was his life. No stress guy who used to tell me things or try to teach me things as a kid that were so profound, so profound. And one of my favorites was, you don't ask, you don't get, he used to say. An old Jewish guy married to a woman 18 years younger than him. He outlived her. You don't ask, you don't get. He was a pharmacist by trade, owned a drugstore, worked every other day in the drugstore, and played golf every other day. And he had a clerk that worked for him in the drugstore. And I cut my teeth in business at age 5. Going to work at my dad's drugstore. And that's how I grew up. Working in a drugstore. Corner drugstore. Soda fountain and all. Good old days, Philadelphia. I couldn't have had a better childhood, I think. And certainly could not have had better parents. Makes me one of the very fortunate. MK is here. Hi, MK. How are you? Is it your birthday? Happy birthday, MK. Everybody's saying. Peter's saying happy birthday. MK. MK. Birthdays are good. MK. Everybody's saying happy birthday to MK. Or MK. MK. Little South Park reference there. Plants are bad. Plants are bad. Plants are bad. MK. MK. Yes, 11 says, plants. Very appropriate timing there, my friend. Plants are trying to quietly kill us. $8:13. I got to try to catch up here. Let's see. I get sucked into reading all the comments. I guess maybe sometimes I would like to be a part of the conversation. I'm just too busy. Anthony says, fly Navy. Yeah, my good buddy was a Navy pilot. Unfortunately, he bought into this vegan shit. Lived to be 75. Should have lived a lot longer than that, but he was the guy who kept telling me that I got to stop eating the meat. I'm killing myself. They all did. They're all dead now, but sometimes it just takes a lot of years to gather evidence that maybe you were right and they were wrong. And the same guys that he used to throw in my face, the same old school vegans from YouTube, the Ornishes, and guys like that, they're still, they haven't died already, like McDougal, they're still out there claiming, in the face of all this evidence that eating meat makes you healthy, that don't believe your lying eyes, believe me, and buy my books and my supplements. Talking about music. Let me try to see if there's any more late questions, and then we will call it a morning, because I say this with great hope. Tomorrow morning we'll roll around again and we start over. I don't see any more questions. I got to the bottom of the chat, and Rick says, if you're still here, you must be doing something right. Or you're just lucky, Rick. There's an awful lot of people that are still here that are doing a hell of a lot that ain't right, but that's life. And we're talking about, that's it. And the burning question of the day, the question that we will leave, the question that we will leave it to ponder until tomorrow, because it's a very serious question and probably affects each and every one of us in a different and profound and meaningful way. It's such an important question, and it has 12 cues in front of it. Count them, 12 cues. And so as not to underline the importance of them, these cues are divided into 3 groups of 4 cues each. To make sure that it's more obvious just how many cues there are from Jerry in the middle of a forest. And the burning question is, Beatles or Beach Boys? That's too profound. That's too profound a question with too much to consider. There's international considerations. For example, if I said the Beatles, would I be less of an American? Less of an American. Taking the side of a very old conflict, the British against Americans. If I were to take the side of the Beach Boys, would I be throwing my entire musical career and education out the window by not considering the musicality of the music? It's tough. Can't be answered that quick. But I'll think on it, and everybody else can think on it, and tomorrow we'll try to remember. Take a little poll in the chat, and everybody, Rick thinks the Beatles suck. And again with Rick, I got to tell you, Rick, you are the single most predictable human being I have ever met in my life. Now, that's not a bad thing. It means that you have convictions and you're not changing for anybody. You're one of those, my mind's made up, don't confuse me with facts kind of guys. I don't even know if you like music that much. But You don't know much about the Beatles if you think that. You have no idea. No idea how good they were. It has gone right over your head somehow. Maybe you're not that young. You're old enough to know. But like everything else in this world, whenever there's two choices, two sides will develop diametrically opposed to each other, eventually at war over the difference. It happens with religion, it happens with political affiliations, and it happens with your Sunday football game. And it will certainly happen with the Beatles versus the Beach Boys. It amazes me. It seems that the human race must be at war over something, or they're just not happy. And speaking of happy, let me play a little happy music. And that's a great question. A very, 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 very thought-inspiring and philosophical question. And I bet you didn't even know that you were thinking at that deep a level with a question like that. You guys are great. Rick says, listening to the Beatles makes me feel down. Oh, the Beatles have had also some very enlightening music, too. Maybe it makes you feel old, Rick. Maybe that's what it is. Because you remember the Beatles music. Jeff S. says, thanks, Mitch. Lady June says, goodbye all. And I still have a sip or two of coffee left. It's a great day. It's a great day. Today, I am going to try to elevate my game in YouTube. I have a new toy, a new 360-degree camera from DJI, state of the art. I gotta learn how to work the editor with it, but I think I'm gonna hopefully be able to elevate the quality of my 360-degree videos so they don't get so distorted and I don't look like an alien with a huge head in the kitchen from these things. And I'm looking forward to that because that's what distracts me, is immersing myself in something, be it technical or whatever, where I can lose sight of the real world and all the bullshit, and for at least a short period of time make something more important to me than whether the medical community is trying to kill another 15% of us sooner than we should die by changing the blood pressure, because those are things that I'd rather not be thinking about. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., right after Kelsey. Thanks so much for coming. Thanks for the support. Thanks for the coffees, guys. Appreciate it so much, so much. And now, let's all take the rest of the day off and eat vast quantities of meat.